speaking of controversial managers, interesting read on our website right now from Alex Shaw. The title of the article is Jose Mourinho, if he's not winning, what's he good for? Part of that article is a poll to rate Mourinho at United. Only 14% of those who voted believe that he's doing a good job. Gab, I'll ask you this. Do you agree with kind of the overarching theme here? If Mourinho isn't winning, is he worth all of the other things that come along with it?
I mean, I think obviously winning is the most important thing a manager, especially a United manager, does. I think if you look at what he inherited, I think that there's more to it, which is to galvanize the club, to get a sense that they're moving in the right direction, to get people to rally around him. And, you know, he's very good at that sort of chest-beating part of the job, which is also an important part of it as well. I think a lot of people felt disaffected under Moyes and Van Gaal. The question is, do they still feel disaffected today under Mourinho? I think the jury's out there. I don't think you can only judge him by his results, which, you know, by the way, aren't terrible. I think you have to look at the whole picture, and he's probably not where he wants to be. And I think this summer and next season are going to be pretty huge for him. I think, look, if you were honest, you put all those titles to one side and he'd say, you know what? I'm behind the curve right now of where I need to be. I need to accelerate the process. I need to make it happen this summer and next season.
14%, guys. What do you think is more frustrating for United fans, the tactics or the behavior?
I think it's the tactics. The behavior, you knew it was part of it. You knew it was part of the deal coming into what the Jose Mourinho experience was going to be. It's just the idea that Manchester United has become a club that is cautious in the way they play, and pragmatic, practical. And when you see that their squad would allow you to be more than that, and yet you choose to be that way. We mentioned Sevilla a couple of seconds ago. The way that they played against Sevilla in both legs, but in particular the first leg in that Champions League, so cautious, so afraid, unable and unwilling to really spread open and try to take the game to other teams. That has to be frustrating if you are a United fan that wants to see something more than just 1-0 wins. And that's what Manchester United under Jose Mourinho have become, a 1-0 win sort of team.
Jose Mourinho is a manager who promises silverware and not a whole lot else. If you're Manchester United and you're used to silverware and you're used to winning silverware in a certain fashion, then there's nothing about Jose Mourinho that's all that appealing, other than comparing him to the previous two managers who went before him, who were dour, wasn't bringing any silverware, wasn't threatening the top of the table. Mourinho got the UEFA Europa League, FA Cup, and then stumbled this season, albeit an outstanding Manchester City. But still, 81 points is a good return without it being great. Spurs had more points than that last year, yet nobody's putting up trees for them. So without the silverware, I'm not sure what Jose Mourinho does or how that pleases you or how you vote that he's doing a great job.
One of the key flashpoints this season for Mourinho has been the relationship with Paul Pogba. Here's some quotes from the French midfielder. There were times when I wasn't playing, I was on the bench, people talked about it a lot. They thought things weren't going well, but a coach and a player don't have to be best friends. We don't have to go to a restaurant together. Ala, is there some truth to what Pogba's saying, or is this maybe just another sign of a broken relationship between the two?
There is truth to that, no. I never went to a restaurant with a coach. Look, you don't have to be best friends, but in games that matter, if you consider to be one of the best players of that team, you should be starting in those matches. You should be an impactful player in those matches. And whether it's Jose Mourinho or Paul Pogba, neither one of them were impactful. Neither one of them made a difference for the club. And in particular, Paul Pogba, in those important matches, at times, he was sitting on the bench.
Just to correct myself, it's the League Cup they won, not the FA Cup. But yes, manager and player don't have to be best of friends. But still, there's nothing about Paul Pogba or his body language in playing under Jose Mourinho that makes you feel he's happy. When every time you've seen Pogba, be it for France or be it for Juventus previously, you could tell that there was a certain smile on his face, there's a certain amount of freedom to his game that I don't think he enjoys right now. And it's frustrating to see his body language, and I'm sure it's frustrating him on the park. But then Paul Pogba seems to be, has become the face and the name that's synonymous with Manchester United's feelings so far this season, when in actual fact, you could look at anybody, bar maybe Nemanja Matic and David De Gea, and say they aren't playing well, they aren't pulling their weights, and ultimately you end up looking at one person.
Real quick, Gab, you saw the numbers, 14%. Any chance Mourinho's not at Old Trafford next year?
No, I think he's definitely back. I think in for a dime, in for a dozen. He signed a new deal. They got to see this process through to fruition, and they will.